finally, a source of raw, real, and honest information on healthcare issues that matter most. Welcome to BS Free MD. From the latest medical information to how to stay sane as a doctor or a patient, no subject is taboo, and no BS is allowed. Now, let's welcome your hosts, Doctors May and Tim Hindmarsh.
Oh, yes. Welcome back to Doctales with Cocktails.
Can you top that up for me?
It's even better when I don't smash the martini glass into the side of the mic. That is super high quality.
He's pouring today, but he's cheaping out. So we're super excited to be here
You want me to pour enough in there so that it reaches panty remover levels? Is that what we're looking at? Okay, I'll keep pouring.
Let's keep this mostly just E.
Mostly PG? All right, so today we're going to talk about when the doctor becomes the patient, and this will be the lighthearted episode. We are going to do this kind of as a series and get into some pretty heavy stuff where we talk to some physicians that have had some pretty dire diagnoses and have really walked a pretty horrible road as patients and get perspectives from kind of all over the map in that regard. We are old enough that we've been patients enough times, various knee surgeries, may have a hip replacement, et cetera, that we're going to look at the little bit lighter side today.
Yeah, we're going to share the funny side of things, and then, as we said, get into some of my personal stuff as well as some guests that really do share that perspective of becoming the patient and how that really impacts and changes the way that we practice medicine for the better, I hope. So on that, let's just be thankful for our sponsor that lets us be here today. And today we are featuring doc-to-doc lending. So if you need access to cash at fair rates, and who doesn't, doc-to-doc lending believes that when debt can be avoided, and it should be, they also realize, however, that sometimes borrowing is necessary to help doctors overcome short-term cash issues to improve long-term personal financial health. Founded and led by fellow doctors, all of whom actually started out as cash-strapped residents, doc-to-doc lending exists not only to meet doctors in their moments of need, but to do so in a way that assesses and appreciates each doctor-borrower as only fellow physicians can really understand. Apply for the loan you need with doc-to-doc lending at drpodcastnetwork.com/doc-to-doc. That's drpodcastnetwork.com/doc and the number 2 doc.
Outstanding. If you're a doc in Hawk, go to doc-to-doc. I just made that up. They can pay me extra for that.
Sure
or they can subtract.
I'm sure they'll appreciate the marketing plug. The creative juice.
Don't listen to big bank schlock when you can go to doc-to-doc.
Okay, let's leave those poor fellow residents alone and move along. All right, everybody. So our little tales of woe and our experiences as the patient have been many, and we've shared some of the little things with you in the past. I think we told the tale of, I know we told the tale of doing, under the stupid things we've done in our careers, and that was, remember doing arthrocentesis in the kitchen? Actually, for people that are not medical and don't know what that is, that's sticking a needle in your knee joint and draining the fluid off because Tim just needs to be able to run again. And there's nothing like having a little serous fluid or knee drainage fluid, if you want to put it, that looks like straw coming out on the floor and your golden lab just licking the broth, so to speak.
We didn't let her lick the broth. That is an enhancement but she would have if we wouldn't have shielded the dog from my knee and the needle.
Yeah. So we've done that. Tim, he was the patient with his poor aging, painful, swollen sized knee. Then I think we shared the tale of, did we share the tale of the post-vasectomy hero moment that you had to have?
When I went running 3 days later?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was ill-advised. But the part that's so stupid about that is that I get about 2 miles into this, and I should have just I should have got like a 16th of a mile into it and gone, this is idiotic. But no, I got to finish the entire run.
How far did you go?
4 miles.
And how many days after was it?
I don't know. It was that week.
It was here's the thing that he's not telling. I think it was literally 2, probably 3 at the latest days after. You had it. You laid around the next day. You couldn't take it anymore because Tim don't lay around. Then I think it was by the third day, he's like, this is BS. I got to do something. I'm good. So he threw the ice pack away, went out for his run, came home, and oh my gosh, I think he limped the last half mile back. And let's just say that his swelling was disproportionate to his natural anatomy.
It was robust.
It was the elephant man. He had a lot of swelling, not recommended, because then I think you spent the next 2 days on the couch with the ice pack again.
It was like the episode of South Park where they all try to get testicular cancer so they can get the medical marijuana.
Not quite that bad, but 50% of the way, let's just say. It was almost at knee level that time. So that was another stupid thing. Tim did it as a patient, but, he thought he was tougher than he was. So we are going to share, how tough Tim thinks he can be. And when he was a patient with an abdominal pain while we were at work. So we won't give it away from the get-go. We'll just tell the story and you figure it out. But why don't you start, Tim? And I remember we were both working together in this clinic. We're doing family practice. We're across the hall from each other. It's an 8-shaped building. Nurses are in the middle. And I think it was around noon, and he walked over and he's like, I don't feel good. I just feel nauseous. It was around lunchtime, and you're like, I just don't feel like eating. I don't know what's going on. You didn't have a fever. I remember you weren't throwing up. You didn't have diarrhea, but you're just, in general, your stomach did not feel well. Is that right?
Well, yes, but I did have right lower quadrant pain that was palpably tender.
Right then and there?
Yes, I did. Absolutely.
At noon?
Yes, absolutely, I did.
No, I think it started off with you feeling kind of
no.
And by 5 o'clock?
No, I did not feel ill.
Okay.
I didn't feel ill at all.
Okay.
I had pain, but no illness. I had no anorexia. I had pain in my right lower quadrant.
Define anorexia for the non-medical
Which means you don't want to eat. So, and it was palpably tender, so if I pushed on it, it hurt. And I kept working, and we had people over that night.
You made it through the day.
Yes, we had people over that night. I barbecued. I had a couple beers. I ate food. Everything was totally good.
I don't remember the people being over.
We did. It was a recruitment dinner.
Oh, now I do, yes.
And then I said, this must be a gas bubble.
But we also had people over for recruitment lunch, the day of my colonoscopy, too. Why did we plan these things this way?
I don't know. Because we think we can get more crap done than we thought. So anyway, then I start walking around the house several times because I'm like, maybe this is a gas bubble and I can get it to leave. So then, our friends, the people are entertaining leave.
Did you eat dinner?
Oh, absolutely I did. I had no nausea. I had no fever. I had nothing but pain.
I just remember you at work going, I don't feel very good. It kind of hurts. And you didn't really say much.
Well, no, then you and the nurses mocked me. You mocked me because it's like, you're a big baby. You got nothing. You're just a big baby. You're a man.
So we said, man, if you're ovulating, you'd have to suck it up. Take some Advil and suck it up.
Yeah, whatever. So at any rate, I, the couple, the friends leave, and I sit on the couch and I looked at May and I said, I've got a pretty good idea what this kiss probably is, but it's not that tender right now. We'll know in 3 hours. So I woke up 3 hours later. And
wait a second. Before we jump ahead, do you remember what day of the week it was? More importantly.
It was Thursday.
It was a Thursday. And this is important in a little bit. So it was the Thursday, and then, okay, continue.
So I wake up at like 3:30 or 4 in the morning, and I'm like, I can barely move, and I can barely touch my abdomen. Like, it hurts. Like, it is. It's like a big deal. So I wake her up and I look at her and I said, I think I have gas. And she's like, you're an idiot. Go to the hospital.
No, we did an exam.
Yes.
I played doctor. We didn't do the rectal. We just did the abdominal exam.
You have to pay. Actually, it takes extra cocktails for that.
Yeah, I would need the whole bottle for that. I examine him, and he's guarding, meeting. He's holding his abdomen like a board and screaming when I touch it there.
So I'm like, I'm going to get up and take
lower quadrant.
Right. She says, like I'm going to get up and take Pepto. She's like, you're an idiot. Go to the hospital. Do you want me to drive you? And I said, well, no. At this point, I'm going to get a full workup, and we have little kids.
We had two, kids they were under 5.
Both of them were under 5.
No,
Olivia was
5
and
Jake was 3.
Jake was 3. And so it's like, okay, if we got to wake these kids up, they're going to be like absolute Nazis when you wake them up at 3:30 in the morning.
Well, and then I get to deal with the
right
Germans, so it wasn't going to happen.
So not all Germans are Nazis.
That was not correct. The Nazis, yes.
The Nazis just happened to be German.
Correct.
Okay. I don't want to get kicked off DPN this fast. Anyways, so we didn't want to deal with, let's say, cranky children instead of bringing fascist politics into this.
I do apologize for that. That was not cool.
So anyways, I just said I'd drive myself to the hospital. So I drive myself to the hospital, which is like 22 miles away. And like every bump is just like, I was saying a word that starts with mother and ends with another word. And I get there and I walk in and I look like, by this point, I look like complete warmed over dog crap. And, I'm hunched over and I look at the ER doc, who obviously I've known for however long. He looks at me and he goes, this is absolute desperation. It wasn't, hey, welcome here. What's going on?
5 in the morning.
It was, this is absolute desperation. So I said, dude, I think I have, an acute appy and I need a surgeon. So he's like, okay, well, I'll call the surgeon. And then he says the magic words, which are, do you want morphine?
And from then on, the leash was unbound.
I was like, right arm, left arm, or both. And I said, look, I get really nauseated with opiates. I'm not particularly fond of them from the nausea perspective. So if you can hit me with some Phenergan first so I don't get nauseated, yeah, I'm down for anything. So then, they pushed this stuff in, and it was the weirdest experience. I remember this absolutely vividly, like looking at the clock, and it's ticking, and they push it in, and at about 5 seconds, it was overwhelming anxiety. And at 10 seconds, It was followed by overwhelming peace. And so then they take me down, and I get a contrast CT, which was awesome.
Isn't that fun when you feel like you're going to wet your pants?
No, you pee your entire body as they push the contrast in. It was absolutely spectacular.
For anybody who's not had a contrast CT, let's just say that, yeah, you are sure you've just peed your pants.
Right. So now I'm like Jerry Garcia in Golden Gate Park levels of buzzed.
Wow.
Peeing my entire body. That was cool. That was pretty cool. So anyways, then of course, I'm responsible, and now the clock is striking like 7 in the morning. So this is the perfect time where I get my cell phone and call my nurse.
Didn't you call me first?
I called you, maybe, but I called, and I said, you're going to have to cancel the office. I'm going to have surgery, and of course, what it comes out is, and I think it sounds perfectly coherent, like absolute perfectly coherent, and it comes out like,
it wasn't that bad because you called me. And you told me what was going on.
So May shows up.
Well, wait, you got to tell them what had happened.
Well, yeah, so I ruptured my appendix.
You didn't have appendicitis. You had ruptured your appendix. Totally different scenario,
well,
folks,
and then when we look at the pathology, it was like, yeah, no, if this would have been 1903 instead of 2003, I would have been dead.
Dead man walking.
Absolutely dead. But I would have had the pleasure of being septic, having a gigantic abdominal abscess. It would have been amazing.
But it gets better because he is still a dead man after what happened, because that happened Thursday night, early Friday morning. And when I tell you what was supposed to happen on the weekend and what did unravel, I was not happy with him.
Yeah, so yeah, it gets much more complicated because, unfortunately, as they say, just of God, sometimes timing is not in our control. So at any rate,
you're trying to be a hero, and you did the stupidest thing and let it go and blew your appendix. Ended up in the hospital.
It was a day. It's not like I let it go for a week. It's not like I was taking Flagyl and trying to like subdue this. So at any rate, this blows up, and I go into surgery, and the surgeon is this super awesome guy who is this Korean guy that had lived in the United States for who knows how long, and of course he had not lost any of his Korean accent, which was just made it all the more comedic. And he shows May the appendix, and he is like losing his mind. He's so excited because this thing is like a breakfast sausage link with the end of it completely blown off. I mean, this was like a one-way ticket to E. coli heaven, literally. So because it was ruptured, and because, this was not like where they're just going to do a lap chole. I mean, this is one of these situations where, like, you could have had an intra-abdominal abscess, et cetera, et cetera. So I get admitted to the hospital, so I have to take all these IV antibiotics. Meanwhile, the next day's Friday, and May's supposed to leave to go to Canada.
Well, we were all supposed to leave to go to Canada because his niece was getting married.
And both of our kids were in her wedding. So, I really wanted to go. Like, obviously I wanted to see my kids. I wanted to be with my niece. I wanted to see my, kids be the ring bearer and the flower girl, and they were super cute and all the rest of this. So anyway, I get into the hospital, or I get into my hospital bed, and they start the antibiotics and whatnot. And then they roll in honestly, it should have had like smoke and like angels singing coming off of it. They bring in the PCA pump, which is patient-controlled analgesia, which is a button. You push a button, and they lock it out so you can't kill yourself. But every time you have I think I'm a little bit too uncomfortable. You push this button, and morphine is just dispensed into your veins, like literally, it's like Scott Weiland's version of heaven. And so, I'm laying there, and I remember this. People are visiting me, and it was really kind of crazy. Like the people that show support and pop out of the woodwork. It was really quite humbling to say the least. But I remember watching a baseball game, and it was the second inning.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is you get baseball on the screen in front of you.
Right. So I'm watching this baseball game, and I'm like, man, I'm starting to hurt, and I kind of need a beer, and they don't give those to you in the hospital. So I'm just going to push Mr. Button. I'm going to push the Scott Weiland button. So I push the button, and I'm like, oh man, this is awesome. This is a really good game. And the next inning, I know it's the seventh, like by magic. 5 innings of baseball just magically, appeared. So I was like, wow, this is trippy. But it gets better. I have to be in the hospital for 2 or 3 days of IV antibiotics.
I thought it was like a whole damn week.
No, it wasn't a week. Because I refused to stay there. I was going to like pull everything out and leave. So
yeah, because you needed to go for a run like when you did after your vasectomy.
Exactly. So we're going to get to the post-op appointment, which was freaking amazing because that was hilarious. So at any rate, I get the I get the antibiotics, I get all the stuff. May has to leave because she has to get to Canada, and because the wedding is like 36 hours away, and I'm laying there. I have my cell phone, I have my remote control, and I have the Scott Weiland button, right? And so I'm sitting there, and the phone rings, and this is on Saturday.
No,
Friday.
No,
it was on
Friday.
Friday. So it's the day before the wedding.
The wedding's Saturday.
And it is amazing because what I hear is I hear May yelling into the phone, and then in the background I just hear, and I'm like, what's going on? She's like, I just got in a car wreck. I rear-ended somebody on the I-5 just outside of Seattle, and I can't get the hood to close. So she's asking me how to close the hood on the now damaged vehicle. And I'm giving her the most lucid directions I can. And they're like, I'm like, this is money. Like, and I'm like, okay, you just got to, there's the detat, the thing you pull in the inside the car, and then there's going to be another release, and then you do that, and you should be able to slam it back, and it should sound, and that's exactly how I think I'm talking.
Sure.
And what she hears is,
no. What I hear is, just put the button. I'm like, what? Just put the button. And then I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, there's a latch. Which way does the latch go? I cannot figure out how to flip the latch to get this thing open so I can slam it shut. Just push the latch. And he's just like, I'm like, oh my goodness. So just push the latch. It just like sounds like, I don't know what. It was just stupid.
Because it sounded perfectly normal to me.
You're trying to tell me to push the latch a certain way. Meanwhile, I'm having to rip a fender off the side because it's digging into my tire. And so what he doesn't know is that there was like traffic pile up, and all of a sudden everyone slams on their brake, and I have dreams. Do you ever have dreams like this? It's the weirdest thing. I dream all the time, and I think it's PTSD from that. So the kids are in the back seat watching the plug-in TV Barney shows on VHS or whatever it was. And you know that dream where you're stepping on the brake as hard as you can, but it's just like going through butter and your foot's to the floor and your vehicle's not slowing down and you're slow motioning into the other vehicle.
I call that Tuesdays.
I dream that all the time. Okay, so that's what happened. I literally, both legs pushing the brake down, and we bumped into a pickup truck in front of us with our Cherokee. Nothing happened to that pickup truck in front of us because they had this massive bumper, and he got a little scratch. And they got out, and our left fender over the wheel was scrunched for whatever reason. The grill's crunched, and then the hood's buckled a little bit. So I get out and I'm ripping the side off because the traffic's at a standstill because I'm not going to drive with this piece of plastic against my wheel. And then we go, but later on, it's I forget how many miles up the road, all of a sudden the hood is literally vibrating and lifting, and I'm like, crap, it's obviously not latched properly. So I pull over, which you're not supposed to do, and I call him because I'm like, I can't figure out which way the latch is, if it's sideways, vertical, and I just need to like be able to open it so I can slam it shut. So meanwhile, he's a pile of goo and totally unhelpful. And unbeknownst to me, as I'm trying to solve a problem, my children are in the back seat deciding to play whale. So they take their sippy cups and they're
full of the stickiest fluid in the entire world.
Kind of grape juice. I don't know what I had put in there. And they're like, we're whales. And they're literally looking up at the ceiling of the roof of this thing, and they're just blowing geysers of grape juice all over the ceiling and giggling their hearts out.
And what I hear is, this is what I hear. I hear feet kind of crunching, and then I hear the door open and the bing, bing, bing of the car parked with the keys in it, and the door open, and then I hear a little bit in the distance, sort of distant child giggling, and then I hear, "You're dead! You're all dead! You're so dead!
We're whales!" So, a state trooper pulled over because he's like, "You can't be stopped on the side of the road." I explain what's going on. I explain my idiot husband is in the hospital. I'm almost in tears. Actually, I wasn't. Because I don't really cry. I was just pissed at this point because he's abandoned me for his appendicitis, and the kids are being total buttheads, and they're bored. And so he helped me take the cord that plugs in their TV, and they became upset, and we wrapped the grill and the hood down so it would not fly open so I could make it across the border. Of course, we get to the border, and it's backed up because it's a long weekend, and now they have to pee, but they can't get out because it's a 2-hour wait, and so they all get to pee in pull-ups, and they thought that was funny.
Did you pee in a pull-up too?
No, I did not. And I'm just getting fiery and frosty thinking about this whole dang thing. It was just stupid. Now, the kids were cute in the wedding, and they did a great job, and it was really beautiful, and you missed out.
How much
idiot.
did the grape juice whale detail cost?
I don't know. I can't remember. But anyway, we went to, I don't know, Habib's Auto Body in Canada. They were super nice, fixed things up so it was drivable home. And your dad helped out, and it all turned out fine. But,
and then
I'll tell you.
So, and then 2 weeks. So then I go. I'm in the hospital, and the surgeon makes rounds, and he's like, I'm like, dude, how much more antibiotics do I need? Because I'm done being here. And he's like, oh, why you want to go home? And I said, well, I want to go home because like my back hurts from sleeping in this crappy bed, and I don't have much abdominal pain. I don't have a fever. No, nurse take care of you. You wife not there. Nurse take good care of you.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I'm like, no, you don't like. I said, can I go medically? Yeah, you go, but why you go? Nurse take care of you. I'm like, I'm not getting a sponge bath every day, so it's like I have really no reason to stay here. So, anyways, they discharge me. I go home, and then I'm on Flagyl, and I'm bored, and I can't even drink a beer because I'm gonna like have an antabuse reaction and die.
Yeah, that medication you cannot drink. You shouldn't even actually.
Use mouthwash.
I recommend patients not even use mouthwash.
So whatever. That's all fine and good. And so I'm home by myself. My family's gone, and then I go back and I see him at it was 2-week follow up, and he checks me out and he go, "You all better. You do whatever you want." And I said, "Okay, well, this is what I do. You need to understand what I do. Like I run 30 miles a week, and I'm going to be water skiing, 2 or 3 times a week, and I'll be riding motocross, and that's what I do. Like that's like my week." He go, "Why you do that?"
No,
You don't need to do that. Why you do that?
That's what everybody says.
I'm like,
Why you do that?
why do you not do that?
Exactly.
So at any rate,
Story of our lives. That is how we live our life. That is pretty much. That was Tim being the patient, but that's pretty much par for the course how our lives roll around here. Nothing boring, right?
that's right.
Yeah.
I really, that would be a great ringtone. Or wingtone,
What?
as the case may
Why
be.
you do that?
Why you do that?
I think I'd hit the snooze and go back to sleep.
All right, what's next, May?
Well, do we want to pop in a little word from our hope to be, soon to be,
Yes.
please be sponsor?
It's clearly the time. Okay, so we've talked about this distillery before.
I love you.
We do. We should get tattoos.
Oh, so I am tattoo-less in not Seattle, but I don't know. That might be close to one that I would do. So I love 44 North vodka.
And we have actually, as much as May likes the nectarine so much that she never ever wanted to buy anything but that.
Yeah, the plain is my next favorite, and sometimes, but I'm a freak for the nectarine with lime. But we have been getting so many emails and messages and shout outs on my social media on the Doctor Next Door plug. But for the huckleberry. So I'm not a big bear, I like some berries, but not usually huckleberry type stuff. And we bought the huckleberry today.
Mountain huckleberry.
Yes.
And if you drink enough, it becomes mountain chuckleberry.
Cackleberry.
Cackleberry. Actually.
So what I did was I drink mine on the rocks. So most people I'm sure do not. I thought let's try. I ran down the hill to the Happy Little Market and bought some different mixes. And so I've got blueberry lemonade. So it's what company makes that?
Calypso.
No. It's with the little happy face on it. It's like a Hucksters, or I'll think of it. I'll link it. But I mixed the blueberry lemonade with the mountain huckleberry. Obviously, I had to put lime in mine, a little dash of key limes, ice, and this is really delicious. I think someone sent me a link to make it with lavender lemonade or limeade as well. Anything with lime, I'm in. But 44 North Mountain Huckleberry, I'm pleasantly surprised, and Tim's loving it. And it's not super sweet. If you drink it straight, it's not like syrup. So I'm happy. I like this one.
Yeah,
it's really refreshing. It's nice and hot here today. It's beautiful. So
yes. So we're going to move on to the next story, which is the birthing experience.
Okay. So, well, I guess it's me as the patient, as the pregnant woman, right? And not being totally unique to any. Obviously, this is going to be relatable to anybody that's had a baby, but in a little different way. Man, how much should I share about this birthing experience? I want to keep it brief, not boring, but I would say that I hated being pregnant. And so this is my first pregnancy with our daughter. I hated being pregnant the whole time. I complained and whined. I felt horrible. I wanted my athletic body back. I had pains, and then I felt like I had a bowling ball between my legs.
I wanted your athletic body back too.
Well, you did it to me. It's all your fault, so you can suck it up. So, yeah, I didn't like it. And I would be talking to people who like, I love being pregnant. It's like, I felt the best I ever did in my life. I'm like, wow, that's really pathetic. If this is the best you've ever felt in your life, I feel bad for you. So, no, I did not like being pregnant. And then at the end, it felt like I had a medicine ball between my legs, pressure my crotch. It sucked. So I was adamant that I wanted to do things naturally without any pain medicine.
So naturally, you mean that you would have a baby and then you die of a massive hemorrhage or an infection? Because that's the natural outcome without medicine.
Right. I should clarify that I wanted to do it without any analgesia. There you go. So I read the books. I got I can't even remember the names of them. I think we still have them. But how to, meditate, zone out, the medicine-free way, focusing. Actually, they're excellent books. I mean, it really helps with any kind of honing in on things, whether it's sport or pain-related. But I was adamant that I was not going to get any epidural, any kind of analgesia, Stadol, morphine, etc. So things go along great. Get to term. I go into labor on a Saturday night while we're at a friend's 40th birthday party.
Correct.
And then
we go to church because it's Sunday morning. We go to
church Sunday, and things are ramping up. And I say, I don't think I'm going to make it through. And we left halfway through because now I'm having regular contractions. So we come home, and it's really, I must say, I mean, man, I delivered a bunch of I didn't do OB as in practice, but in residency, I thought I was going to do OB and I think I did 100 deliveries I had and ticked off the box and had every almost complication. And so it was crazy being on the other end. And I'm like, oh, here we go. Well, I couldn't go to the hospital on that fine Sunday yet when we called them because they were full. The inn was full and they had to kick some people out first. So what do you do when the inn is full and you're in labor and your husband is actually doing OB and you're at home?
And is very good at it, by the way. A very experienced
switch roles, and instead of going from husband and wife going to have a baby, you go into I'm the patient and you're the doctor. Oh, can you check me and see how far along I am? Okay. So they tell him, just check her. How far along is she? Can you buy some more time at home? And he's like, yeah, I'll check her. I'm like, this is really weird. So by checking, we mean Tim does a pelvic exam on me to see how far dilated I am. And I have no words. It was really weird. Listen, you're looking at me funny, but it was really weird. I'm like, you're being mean. You're being rough. It was so awkward. So bizarre. But you're a nice doctor. Your bedside manner's nice. You did not. I'm thinking back on that. I'm like speechless. It was really bizarre. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah, but it was helpful because we knew that you're only like 4 centimeters and it was going to be a while and it was the first baby.
Yeah.
And
so it bought us some time for them to punt some people out Sunday so that I could go in a few hours. So I, did my thing, did my deep Lamaze breathing at home, and we got to the hospital. And then it was late in the afternoon. Well, we got there, and I think by the time I got in, I was like, 3-4 centimeters?
I think you're a bit more than that.
And then my body decided it needed to go from 3 to 10 in like an hour, which is, the average is supposed to be a centimeter an hour. Well, mine decided to go from 0 to 100 instantly. And this stoic, tough, athletic, kick-ass doctor who'd read all the books and takes any kind of pain said, I can't take it any longer.
Well, no. And I looked at her, and she would never ask. She was never going to ask. And I said, okay, here's the deal. Okay, it's November 23rd. I said, football's over for today. I need a nap, and you're really in a lot of pain. We're done. I'm calling anesthesia now. I'm going to get the nurse. They'll check you. They make sure that you're not going to push a baby out in the next hour, and we're going to take care of this problem. And she's like, oh, thank you.
Yeah, except not only was the pain gone once they got that epidural in, I became, because I don't do well with narcotics, benzos, anything like that, I became so wasted that it was like a double-edged sword. So the room was spinning. I felt like crap. I think I was puking a few times, and I felt horrific.
I had an awesome nap.
Mm-hmm. So let's just lay out this story, this long, laborious, horrific story really quick. I pushed, and 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 I pushed. Nothing happened. So then, did you go do delivery?
No.
That was another time.
I did a delivery that morning.
Yeah.
You were contracting all night,
right.
and I woke up at like 6:30, and they called me, and I said, are you good enough for me to go deliver someone else's baby before, our colleague delivers our baby? And she's like, yeah, I think so. So I left. I went and delivered a baby, came back, went to church.
Yes.
You start laboring like crazy in church. We're like, okay, we're done. This is crazy.
Okay,
I don't want to.
So
you'd be in church and be like, wow. I'm like, they're like, oh my, that must be the Holy Spirit.
Anyway, I forget how long it was, and my OB said, you need to take a break. This is crazy. Do you want a C-section? I'm like, hell no. She's like, well, take a break. I got to do another delivery. So he took off down the hall next door, did another delivery. I think you were watching football. And then I went for round 2, pushing and pushing and pushing. And, like, I was not going to have a C-section. I was so stubborn. But I just remember I couldn't really feel much because I was so wasted. It was just, like, horrible. But
if you want the world's worst labor coach, get a doctor that is
so
enough.
Then there was
get
that
an OB
part.
doctor.
Yes. So he is trying to be the husband, and I'm like, just massage my back, be up here, let me squeeze your hand, breathe with me, and then he would get kind of like shaky and like antsy, and then he would run to the bottom and check, and he's like, well, let me just see how far along you are, because Dr. X is like busy next door. Let me just see. And then I'm like, get up here, be the husband, and he run to the front. Well, anyway, success comes, and I'm like ready. The baby starts to cry on, and the little darling's about to come out, and I'm pushing, and Tim cannot decide, or he's not sure. His split brain cannot like separate being wanting to be there to be the obstetrician or the supportive husband. And then it was so funny because I kind of remember the nurses like, you're back and forth, and Dr. X is just like, just never mind, I got this. And you go up there and you're like down, then up to the head of the bed, then down to the bottom, and then up to the head of the bed.
Heads, not tails.
Yeah.
Heads, not tails.
Like,
heads, not tails.
Like, stop it. Then, of course, the magical words that I will never forget as our precious, beautiful golden daughter's head is crowning and born. He says, oh, no.
It's my dad. Because she had this, my father had an unbelievably gigantic head for like a man that was.
Think Bojack.
Yes, he's like 5'8", and he had this enormous head, like literally custom
horse head,
custom helmet.
That is why things were hung up so bad, and she had the giant hindmarsh jowls and cheeks, which of course were accentuated. Oh no! And I'm thinking something's horrific's happened, or something that came out anatomically we're not prepared for. But no, it's just your little likeness.
Yes, and I look almost exactly like my father. Sans tattoos.
He couldn't decide whether he wanted to be the damn doctor or the damn husband, and it was like super comical, kind of, but totally annoying. And anyway, the next time around, things were much better with our second, but that was the weirdest experience, I must say. Second time around was better, but
it was really.
I'm glad I didn't have a C-section. The pushing sucked. It was like, it explains all my problems now, but you're welcome.
It's really, really weird because, obviously, as a father, my contribution to this endeavor was 2.5 hours. I'm sorry, 5 seconds. So then, you see this new human being, and she's laying there, and I'm like, wow, she's definitely got my head. She's got my cheeks. She's absolutely got my thighs. and it's just a completely different experience than what May had, because, she just expelled a human from her body. And, so there's like recovery and stuff that has to go on there, and, stitching up and whatever, and a little bit of making sure the baby's okay, and doing APGARs, and then laying her on her chest and all that kind of thing. But it was like, that experience, having delivered so many babies, having dealt with very ill infants, where like, myself and the medical student would have been bagging a kid for 4 hours all night long until, the pediatric intensive care ambulance could drive down from Portland and save our ass. And, having shared this with so many patients and having gone through this so many times, you think that you get it. Like, you think, okay, I understand this. No, you don't, because you're not on the patient's side. And it's a real, it's humbling, and it's mind-blowing, when the tables turn. Because you think you're going to have the same level of control as you do as a physician, and you don't. You have zero control because you're a patient now. And I think if I was going to sum this up to, what did I learn? And I've had a bunch of orthopedic stuff and, knee surgeries and all this kind of stuff. Is the thing that's really blown my mind is, especially when I was doing obstetrics, and you're working right side by side with these obstetrical nurses. Like, you totally depend on them, because they're literally your eyes and ears for a laboring patient. They're the ones that are holding the hand of the laboring patient for the longest period of time. You come in, you do the medical part, which often is incredibly short. Sometimes it isn't. You're there sleeping, waiting for things to happen. Other times it's 15 minutes. What's blown my mind with my, having to be screened for colon cancer numerous times, and knee surgeries and all the rest of this, is the professionalism of the nurses, and how we could go in. They knew us well. They knew me exceptionally well, because I delivered hundreds of babies with them, and they just stayed in professional mode. And, it was just really, really amazing. So, I know Nurses Day or week or whatever was a week or 2 weeks ago. And it's a real shutout, because, professionalism in healthcare isn't just doctors, isn't just specialists. It goes all the way to the front office people, to the unit secretaries, like all of that. And you're right. It's the whole team. And, I'm thinking back to when I had my hip replacement, and oh my gosh, like, I was so nervous. And it's weird, because I'm the patient. It's totally different when you're the doctor and you have confidence in what's going on, and you understand the procedure, and you can separate the emotion out. But when we walked into that hospital, and I was frightened, because I know what's going to happen. I know they're actually sawing a bone off in my body that will be forever gone. Do you think Bruce Jenner felt the same way when he walked into the hospital for the bone sawing?
I have no words. I don't think he shared my feelings, or vice versa. That's what I'll say. And
just throwing that out there.
I don't know what he felt. I know what I felt. And that was, if they screw this up, I'm going to be a short-limbed dwarf on one side. I mean, it's like you're cutting out bone. So right from the moment, like what you said, when we hit the doors, and it was the person at the check-in that was kind and gracious, and I'm like, this is irrational. I'm a doctor. I should know better. But I was suddenly, it's like, it doesn't, all that goes out the door. And you are experiencing everything that our patients do. Right to, I'm laying there on the bed, they're putting my band on and doing the IV, and everyone comes in and asks a million questions. You're so vulnerable. And, I've been a patient numerous times with my things, but I appreciate the kindness and just the compassion from everybody. You're right. The moment you walk through the door, it's the whole team, to the nurse, to the person that wheels you down for imaging, the person that literally wheels you into the operating room, everybody, the anesthesia, recovery, all of that. And it all plays a part on the team. And man, I think if a physician has never been a patient, it's kind of, you're lost, because you really do experience a complete different side where you can really empathize and understand what our patients are going through with fear for various things.
But the nurse that refilled the PCA pump and charged up the SCART Weiland button, I really liked her
really
more.
liked her the most. That's funny. Well, I think, for myself personally, I have so many stories more to share with you as time comes in the future, because I've been the patient numerous times. But we will let you go for today. Before we go, one last thing, remember doc-to-doc lending. I mentioned at the beginning of the show. Please remember them. If you need quick and simple access to cash and are looking for physician-preferred rates, be sure to reach out to doc-to-doc lending at drpodcastnetwork.com/doc. As always, I link these in the show notes. I will link the 44 North Huckleberry Vodka in the show notes. And other than that, we're happy you're still here with us at the end. If you are, we appreciate all our fans. We ask if you would just share with one other person this week. Just say, hey, do you want to listen to something fun, fresh, different? Share it with one person. That would mean the world to us. Please send us any questions or topics you want us to talk on. Reach out to us. The easiest way is either on Facebook, Instagram, but also doc@bsfreemd.com is our email. We will answer any questions, but we want your ideas because we want this to be for you. And we are so happy to just share our stuff for you. Please join us the next couple of episodes where we share some other stories from other docs being patients.
Absolutely. All right, we will see you next Thursday. And as always, to our late producer, sleep peacefully.
It's no secret that medicine is a bit uptight. That's why Tim and I created BS Free MD, to mix things up a little and have fun in the process. Besides, we are having these exact same discussions all the time, so we thought we might as well invite everyone to the party. If you really like us, you can get plenty more and maybe see one of Tim's cool tattoos on our Instagram or Facebook pages at BS Free MD. See you next time.
But we try to keep BS Free MD as raw and real as possible. We can't be held responsible for any medical decisions or discussions had as a result of what you've heard on the show. We know, bummer. But the truth is, we really do care about your questions. So feel free to reach out to us by email at doc@bsfreemd.com.